This video is sponsored by Gate.io. If you set an account up using the link in the description, you'll get 25% back on all your spot and futures fees for life. Gate.io. Hello everybody, welcome back. We're going to have a look at ICP. On request, I suppose, on request. I suppose there's no harm in you guys requesting things in the comments. It helps the algorithm. But, you know, if there's something to say, I'll do it. Now, I've been pretty bullish on ICP all the way down, right? But on the long term, I think it probably will reach back up over to $80 to $100 or so. And there's a few reasons for me to think that it's bullish generally anyway. But I always have to stop and pinch myself when I start talking about ICP in that respect, because it is ICP, and we look at a chart that looks like this. You know, it's effectively hopium to an extent. Let's just break it down on the short-term time frames, and if you're interested to know more about what the chart says long-term, then I'll do that later. So in the short-term time frames, looks reasonable. We had this big fat move back up into this zone. If I can just stretch that over, and that is a support stroke resistance that's been around for a while. Since back around here in May, we came down to it, we broke down from it. Up, down, up, down, up, down, and the last major rejection that took place around here in September was at that level. And that level is basically where we've been dancing around. It's about $7.40 or thereabouts. Now, by getting above all these moving averages, they have become supports. Yeah, obviously. And it all depends on what Bitcoin does, and this is what obviously the Euro and the S&P, what all they do. You know, it's unlikely that the ICP is going to be able to rally in the face of a dump, although it has happened before. Yeah, ICP has done that sort of thing before. Now, just want to put it out there before I go into the charts. I'm not a great person at doing fundamentals, but when I look at charts, or at least, you know, if I'm looking to buy something for long term, I do have a little look around at least who's operating the team, and the team seems to be pretty reasonable as far as I'm concerned, and the project seems to be pretty reasonable too. They also had the royal seal of approval by Vitalik. He seemed to think that they were not a competitor, but they were doing something that was worthy of doing within blockchain. So I'm not like, you know, saying it's the best fundamental I've ever seen, but I don't think they're just going to explode into something like Luna, for instance. Don't think that's going to happen. So that is something. And also there was also that rumor that went about, which was that the FTX were manipulating the price, for want of a better word. And now, of course, when we see what happened to FTX, anything is possible with those guys. Crazy over there. So let's get back into the charts then. So we're getting supports around this level, which is about $6.60. That's reasonable as well. That's a 200 exponential, just crossed above by a 10 exponential. So that's a relatively strong support. If we were to break, the Bollinger Band is sitting down here at a nice flat $6 as well. So that's an okay place to think about maybe stacking into it. Now, I don't know if you see it, but I see something very nice. ICP, something very nice. Dad joke. We've got a cross here of the I can't get my words out. This is a Ichimoku cloud conversion baseline cross above the cloud. So this actually says trend right now. This says trend. So what we've got is the cheeky span above the price. We've got the price action above the price, and we've got a blue crossing the red above the cloud. This would suggest upside continuation until further notice. Further notice being when the blue crosses the red or the cheeky span touches the price action. This is actually a buy signal for a trend which is going to continue. So if that's the case, let's have a look at the momentum. What's going on over here with momentum? So unfortunately for ICP, we did have bearish divergence on this last stage, and that kind of, you could say that basically fizzled out and caused this last portion of the downtrend. Since then, we broke out of the RSI trend line and actually caused pretty significant mega pump, really. Now we've got the trend signal. What are we looking for now? We've got to look for bearish divergence on the shorter term time frames. But considering that the price action is more or less flat at that super resistance, I wouldn't really consider this to be bearish divergence. I would say that this is more along the lines of a consolidation from this pump. So if that is the case, let's bring it to a 4 hourly to see what the 4 hourly suggests. Right, so the 4 hourly had a golden cross all the way back down here at $4. So it doubled in price since that. What have we done since then? Well, we've come down to have some messy retests, just like lots of other altcoins. And where were we trending at the moment? we're hanging around by this 50 exponential moving average, so the first portion of a golden cross retest. So trying to continue with the trend, but not quite managing it, not quite yet. So if we think about where this is going to go on the 4 hourly, it does still want to consolidate. It's pretty messy because of the size of that major pump, but maybe we can just put a trend line in. We can't really, it's very messy. This is what ICP is very good at, being messy. There is a trend line there, but it's not really a great deal. And if we think about what this is doing around the 50 and this trend line, it looks like a descending triangle, which does offer further downside. I think the further downside is most likely to take place if the market continues to go down. I reckon if this was given its own, if the market was to find some kind of stability, it will probably break out and continue with that pump, not a pump, the trend signal that we've just seen on the daily. That's one of the first trend signals that I've seen. We've been waiting for them for a while. On crypto, we've got one from Bitcoin today. I talked about it on the video that I made today, and this is what we really want to see in crypto. We want to see all of these charts and all these coins have the same sort of setup, which would generally mean a big continuation in the crypto market, full stop. So ICP's got one now. Bitcoin's also got one now, so this is all good. Let me just quickly check Ethereum. Ethereum's also got one as well. It's very, well, I call it squeaky bum time, really, because what we don't want to see is this cheeky span close within the price action that would cancel this signal out basically as it started. But Ethereum's got the golden cross, it's got the cheeky span above price, it's also got the cross above the cloud. So Ethereum's got it too. So ICP's got it, Bitcoin's got it, ICP's got it. Can we take it seriously? Not entirely sure. I'd like to think so, but I'm not entirely sure because of the state of the overall markets outside of crypto. Let's have a look at the Bitcoin pair. So Bitcoin pair's got the same sort of deal as well. So we've got the cross above the cloud. So it's got the same continuation versus its Bitcoin pair. And we're dancing around the 10 exponential, trying to reclaim the 200 exponential. And we're above, ever so slightly above, this box of significance, which I would consider to be basically like a medium area between the peaks of the bear market highs to the lows of the bear market lows. So we're kind of in the middle. You could class it as a buy zone, really, for a long-term view. So talking a long term, like, take it to a weekly, right? So the weekly is always going to look messed up because of the state of the chart. So we have to turn the itchy cloud off and the Bollinger Bands off, just so we can put it on log scale and get a decent read on what's going on. There's only one thing to note really on this that's worth looking at. So first of all, a descending channel that broke out in the bear market July 22nd, July 25th, roughly thereabouts. We broke out of there, came down, and effectively, in my opinion, has probably formed a double bottom around here. These channels like this, which is very neat, up to the bottom, and then break out. These often suggest that this is it now, and we are looking to change direction at some point soon. Now, obviously, those of us that hold ICP, and I have an inordinate amount of it, will be thinking about moves up to around 9,000 sats or so, which is about 200% from where we're at right now, versus its Bitcoin pair over a long period of time. So to put that in context, if you were to buy, if you could afford one Bitcoin today, and you bought it at whatever it is, what is it now, 24,000? So you got 24 grand, you put that into Bitcoin, or you put it into ICP, you're looking to well, get way more returns if you were to buy ICP based on what this chart says, because this is basically telling us that this is likely to outperform Bitcoin, at least to this level, and so you'll get more value, you'll get more returns back than just buying Bitcoin. Not massive, these aren't the sort of shitcoin returns that everybody looks for crypto to be, but we don't know what the value of Bitcoin will be anyway, you know, down the line. If it hits 80, 100, 150, 200, we don't know. But let's just say, you know, it returned to its all-time high, so that's 60. We're looking to put 2 on top of that, so we're talking 180 grand return on whatever it is that you put down if you were to buy this instead of Bitcoin. I'm not saying do it, I'm not a financial advisor, I'm just trying to put it into context in real world figures there. Now, this is the same with its Tether pair as well as the Bitcoin pair. The biggest bullish divergence you've ever seen ever, and we've been monitoring this again all the way down. It seems more appropriate to think about it playing out at some point this and next year, if this is, you know, a bull market that we're in. So we've got a huge accumulation style vibe on the MACD. We've got a huge bullish divergence on the RSI and on the money flow index. And if we can just move that over to the Tether pair, we've got the same read as well. Huge bullish divergence on the money flow index and an accumulation vibe take place on the MACD as well. So all of this does favor a big breakout later on down the line. And if we're thinking about what this means for its for its tether pair, we would think, all right, so here we are. Let's just say we break above this support. We've got these areas to reclaim. So first of all, we've got to get to the 15, then we've got to get to roughly about the 20, then we've got to get ourselves back up to the 40, and then we've got to go up to the 80, which I think is a reasonable target to have on this one. Which, you know, in terms of gains, we're talking just short of a 10x from where we are right now. Lots of these mid to higher cap altcoins probably will yield a 10x in a bull market from now until the end. Be a bumpy ride, a bumpy ride, just like the last bull market was a bumpy ride. It started in 2019, things went up, things went down. Some altcoins made decent highs, some of them made new lows throughout the duration of a bull market, from the beginning to the middle before the end. So recognize that. You can always buy, hold and stake these things if your choice of strategy is one of investment. At least you're getting that sort of interest back on what it is that you're holding, so you can ride through the volatility of a bull market. Because trust me, with Bitcoin, it's slow and steady generally wins the race. With altcoins, it's not quite that simple. It's up, down, up, down, up, down, all over the place. So you've got to have the psychological hardiness to handle all that sort of thing. But we're thinking about this on a weekly. You know, it's a young chart, really. It's not got a great deal of history to it, and because of the freshness of the chart, it does add a bit more. We'll call it unpredictability. All moving averages and signals or whatever, you know, any indicators based around price, volume, and time. And in the absence of a long chart, we don't have the time component that gives us a bit more certainty as to which way it's going to move. But one thing we can say about young charts is they're yet to discover their true value. And this one, yeah, it started off at an unreasonable high. I mean, just think about the price of one ICP all the way up here, like $2,800. I don't really know if we can take that serious, but definitely up into the $100 area to under $250. Do you think this is going to reach $250 again? I wouldn't say no. I think it would be naive to say that it wouldn't. I think there's going to be a bull market driven mostly by institutions and utility and regulation. We'll see what happens with ICP throughout all that period. But I think there's plenty of utility to ICP. And I don't think it's ever been given a chance to discover any kind of price. It's not really ever caught a break. Maybe this is the time now where this is the bull market where it actually finally does start to perk up and become what it was supposed to be, which is actually not a scam. But a decent blockchain with decent utility, and the price should reflect that, should being the operative word. But again, I'm not the fundamentals guy, but based on the chart here, it's the largest bullish divergence I've ever seen on a crypto. And so if you're thinking about buying and holding it for the long term, I wouldn't feel too uncomfortable by doing it down at these lower levels when the target is basically a 10x or more. Anyway, I'll leave it with you there. Come and slag me off in 3 years, see where we are in 3 years. But for the moment, that is basically all the charts can offer. And it's not all that bad, to be honest with you. It really isn't all that bad. Right, thank you for watching. Hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.